hill-wise, tree-wise, or whatever. And there's plenty of room to, although you're a bit closer to the enemy in the desert than you were. Just thinking, let's go back to the desert again. I'm only talking about incidents that happened to me, that's all. I can remember when we were attacked by German fighters, Messerschmitts, and we were in convoy, and of course convoy is all scattered all over the desert, and all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 of these boats came in and strafed whatever they could strafe. But we had some Bofors very handy, very close to us, and Bofor is an anti-tank gun, yes, not an anti-tank gun, attack gun. And it was puffing away up there, or 2 or 3 of them more or less, but all of a sudden there was a big burst in front of us, and they hit a Messerschmitt, and he came down and caught a fire and burnt very, very fiercely. And because while that was going on, we all ran and ducked under our trucks. And I ran in front underneath the front of the truck. And all of a sudden I felt hot. And I thought, God, I'm hit. And I wasn't sort of realised there was hot water coming out of the radiator of the car. I thought, oh God. But the poor pilot, they dug a hole and put him in, and covered him up, and then the party came along and made them dig him up again and give him a decent burial, cover him up again. But that was one of my instances of thought I was being hit. But back in Italy, of course, the action in Italy was the same. We went from one side to the other, up and down, wherever it was. Florence was a very interesting place because we kind of had a bit of a base there and had a bit of a spell there. The whole division had a spell. And I was able to get around and have a look in Italy. Why I mention that is because at the end of the war, when they sent me to come home, we had to come back to Italy, and we had a base camp there, which we had to wait there until there was a ship available to come back home. So it was very good to come back into it again. Well, yes, you see, in the war, you're not fighting all the time. You're doing your part for a week or two, and then somebody else you're relieved, and you go back a few miles back, and you're looked after back there, and then of course you come back and take your turn again. And a lot of chappies, they made all sorts of things, wristwatches and things like that, and a lot of it was made out of the duralium of the propellers of the enemy aircraft. And
what was that? What did you say? Duralium?
That's what the propeller's made of.
Is it a metal?
It's a metal. It looks like aluminium, but it's a lot harder than aluminium, and it doesn't bend. It's pretty tough stuff. It takes a long time to cut with a hacksaw. And when I was ravaging around, I went back when we were in our rest area. It wasn't very hard to not see an aeroplane that had been crashed and that sort of trucks and tanks, and because the war had already been through there. And I cut a lump of the tip off of a propeller blade, a Messerschmitt, and with a hacksaw and a drawing of the books of aircraft, I'd take the block of aluminium and I would draw on the side the shape of the plane, and then I'd hack away when I had it'd take hours, but you always had it in your bag with you. And I made a Spitfire and put wheels and everything, but I sent it home. I got a block of wood and chopped it all out and then put the little plane in it and sent it home. I still got it at home. And another one I made was a Lightning airplane. Lightning, that was a German plane. And a 45 shell and the core cut out, and I sent it home. That was like a ashtray, take it from an ashtray.
It had quite a big shell in the bottom.
It had a 25-pound artillery shell in the bottom, cut down to about 2 inches high. And I cut down 303 bullets, and 3 of them, and cut them in half so you could lay your cigarettes on them. And I put a .5 bullet, which is out of a Spitfire plane they fire. There's a .5, it's quite a big shell. Put that up the middle and made a little lightning plane. That's a true fuselage plane, and put it on the top so you had the base and the bullet up and the plane just coming down.
And there was also a little crescent.
Well, there was a crescent that the plane was going through.
Right.
That was a 75mm artillery shell just cut off. Yeah, I still got those at home too. But a lot of blokes did that sort of business, and some made some very nice wristwatches and
Bands.
and band, not watches, bands. Yeah, that's right. Of course, I don't know. I'm skipping a lot here. Casino. Of course, we got up into casino. I didn't do any fighting in casino. I was in casino, and I had 2 or 3 trips into casino. I was on the mules in casino, taking ammunition up to the front line at night time, mortar bombs and things like that. Casino, it was bombed to pieces. I'm talking about Casino Monastery, not Casino Township, because that was where the Maoris went in. They went in there and cut that place about too. But the casino monastery was not about that much that you had to scramble over rocks and things. Although they seem to have crypts over there, what they call crypts, they're down underground. Massive places which are quite safe. And of course our skipper, he had his headquarters down in one of those, and of course we had to go backward and forwards and food and stuff like that and take them down into there. But very, very rough. But we couldn't get through casino. We had to go around the back of casino, a place called Mount Cairo. And that's where I went on the mules. And I was on my own there, and about 6 Itais, Italians. They cared for the mules and got them ready. And of course, they had to have a British soldier in charge of them, I suppose. So, but they were on our side. They weren't just. This was after the Itais had
changed sides.
Yeah, capitulated. Yeah. But oh dear, even in that you'd get shelled, and of course everybody ducked. But the Italians wouldn't come out for half an hour after. You had to go and get them out to come up, and then come up over the top in daylight. You'd be up at the top delivering your bombs and things, and come back and spend the day down behind the hills, go back up next night. So they were very lonely for me down there because I was on my own.
So what did you carry up with the mules?
Mortar bombs and mainly mortar bombs, yes, and rifle ranges, ammunition and stuff. It had only because casino hadn't been taken yet, and this was round behind. They called Mount Terror, and you had to go up a windy road, and coming down even. The Germans had just left there. They knew all about it. They knew where all the hollows were, and I can remember we were coming down. The skipper came up to see me, the captain, and he walked one side of the road. There's a hill like that, then there's a road, and then the hill. And he walked down on this side, and I kept to the hillside. And we must have been seen coming down because every now and again a shell would come over. And the captain, he had somewhere to go. I didn't. But I was still on the safe side, I think. But they could see us. Well, down at the base they had a big cutting in the hill there, and that's where the ambulance would come to take the wounded away. and we'd only just got down there, and the shell came over, and, well, it didn't hit the ambulance, but it gave everybody a scare, but it got one of the other blokes. So, one fellow said, "Is he dead?" And I said, "Yes," and he just collapsed on, fainted on the what's name. It's a grim sort of a place to be, and because then I had to go back up again, and I was eventually taken back there and taken back to my unit again. But why there's no mention of the mules well, I haven't seen it about what they are, but the Kiwis did, and I don't think I was the only one. But you only wanted one bloke, I suppose, to do that sort of bloke.
How many mules did you have?
Pardon?
How many
Had
mules?
6 mules. Because the thing was that I think that they say that they were deaf. They couldn't hear. They were probably made deaf. But the biggest trouble was when they jump a ditch. If you couldn't get them fairly close together, when they jump, they're all, you led the first mule and the others are all tied to each other. So they had to follow. And when the first one jumped, if there wasn't any slack between the row, he pulled the other one into the ditch anyway. But there were enough mules, dead mules anyway, so how they got, I don't know. But no, it's a great experience really, but once enough.